Welcome to part 2. Some of you might have noticed that the numbers magically just changed. That's because I had an Excel crash and I opened up a different workbook that already had your displacements and velocities entered, but were different. I want to show you one thing. As we noted in class, the time differential is always 1/60th of a second. So you might think that all you need to do in entering in the second velocity formula is you just point to your first time, box A2, and hit enter. And then again, you can do your drag and fill. But you notice that all the time, all the velocities got smaller for the most part. That's because whenever you drag and fill, Excel automatically changes the indice of the box, the number, by 1. We don't want that. There is a way to prevent that. The way to prevent it is to enter in dollar signs right in front of the letter and the number. That says do not change the letter, do not change the number. And when you do that and you drag down, lo and behold, the number stays the same, the letter stays the same, and it's back to being the correct answers. We'll do something similar with the acceleration. That's v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. You'll notice I very much prefer the subtraction rather than using the dollar signs. That's just a matter of choice. You're free to do whatever you want there. Increase the font so it's the same as the other ones, or at least close to the same. These are 24. They must be 22. So anyway, you'll notice if you were quick, and I'll point it out to you, that this box here has this green symbol and it comes up with an exclamation point. You'll notice that the box says that the formula in this cell refers to cells that are currently empty. That's not good. That must mean something's wrong with this formula. So if I click on it, it shows me what boxes it's referring to. Specifically, this one's empty. Remember that to get an acceleration, you always need 2 velocities. So that means that this box isn't valid. I'm just going to delete the formula and leave that blank. Now it's time to graph. First, we're going to graph. In fact, probably the only thing we'll graph is a displacement versus time graph. So you click and highlight. A little bit of trouble with that. There we go. Click and highlight so you've highlighted all the numbers in your time and displacement columns. You do not highlight the actual titles, just the numbers. Titles will mess up Excel. And you come up here to your chart wizard and you select your chart wizard. You'll notice there are lots of different options for charts. Columns, bar, line graphs, etc. We always want to do Y versus X graphs. So we always choose XY scatter. On top of which we don't want it connecting the dots for us. So we always just pick the dots by themselves. Then I click next. Once I click next, on this page what I always like to check is the series tab. Because the series tab tells me what's on the x-axis right here and what's on the y-axis right here. It tells me on the x-axis I have everything that's in column A, which is great. Because A is time, and I want time on the x-axis for a displacement versus time graph. In the everything along the y-axis is everything that's in column B, which is my displacement. That's what I want. So that looks good. I'm going to click next. Now I can title my graph. Displacement versus time. It's always y versus x. On the x-axis, I have time, and you always include units, seconds. And on the y-axis, displacement with units of centimeters.